So what are you working on first, your swatch?
Yeah.
How many stitches do you have to cast on?
20. Okay, so welcome to Knit Chat. It's Sunday, March the 7th. I'm Kelly. This is my friend
I'm
Noelle.
Noelle.
And we're the
We have a beautiful day here. It's bright and sunny, above freezing. And I think it's supposed to be even nicer the next couple of days. I might actually have to get my bike out, like my real bike.
Your real bike.
Real bike, not my e-bike. So we'll see. A lot of the snow's gone, which is nice. I like the snow, but I like it when it first falls and it's all nice and white and pristine. And then after it's been around for a while and it looks gray, I'm like, I'm done. It can leave.
Well, I was actually thinking if it had been just a few degrees warmer, I could be outside knitting today.
Yeah.
Like I know it's cold, but if I had mittens on or like gloves, fingerless gloves.
Or half mitts, right?
Half
so
mitts,
your fingers are free.
Yep,
so
exactly.
One of these days. One of these days.
Soon, right? I have to go pick up some pottery this afternoon too. And it's about a mile away, so I might walk to that after.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Sandy. Oh, she said it's sunny. It's very sunny in Queensville too. She's working on a cardigan. What are you working on, Kelly?
I'm actually knitting a swatch. I don't normally swatch, but this is a new yarn to me. I'm making like a Celtic style sweater, and this is just drops yarn, so it's bulky and on 6.5 needles, 6.5 millimeter needles. So I just have to knit a bit of a swatch here, and I thought this would be a really good time to do it. What are you working on?
I am doing a sock in the Owen Roxy Basics. This is called Fall Flowers, but I'm calling it Spring Flowers because I'm doing it in spring colors. So this is their new basic line, 3 of the colors. I think it's called Classic Gray, and then Raspberry Ripple and Garden Green. And I love working with it. It's so nice and soft and cushy and very nice to work with.
It's really pretty.
So. Hi, Marianne. Jacqueline says the sun's out in London too, London, Ontario. Got to make that distinction. Oh, it's cloudy for Mary. Well, it's just nice for us to have a nice sunny day because we get a lot of gray days through the winter. So it's nice to see some sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe says hi. Hi, Zoe. Zoe's my granddaughter, in case anybody's wondering.
Hello from
she thinks
California.
She should be able to talk to me through the screen. Oh, we have California and Iceland.
I'm guessing it's much warmer there.
Oh, Germany, Sweden. Wow, we got all over the world. So I guess most of those places are still our hemisphere, so they'd still be kind of like sort of getting towards the end of winter.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely looking forward to some outside time.
Me too. Me too. I was on my Bowflex trainer today, and I was doing watching a hike from the Grand Canyon.
Oh,
and I don't know. Nice. I started to get a little lightheaded.
Oh, really?
Well, it's pretty high elevation, right? And he's hiking the trail. So then he kind of stops and he does like these lookouts. And here I am like motoring on the elliptical, right? It's like an elliptical cross step trainer. And so it feels like I'm getting really close to the edge. And if it's during a peak, because I do a cycle, so like you have high intensity and low intensity. So if I'm like super high intensity, I'm motoring towards the edge, I don't think it's very comfortable. I might give up on that one.
Oh, well, find a nice flat one. Anyway, so Kelly and I have been talking, and we had an idea of maybe doing a knit chat knit along. So we just wondered if anybody thought that was a good idea. Like we thought, obviously, people can kind of pick what they want, but we thought it's got to be something, like relatively easy that you can concentrate on while you're talking. At least for me, it does. So it's got to be something that I don't have to think too much about. Hopefully a smaller project, like maybe a one skein shawl, or maybe a pair of socks if they're not too complicated, or I don't know, what other ideas do you have, Kelly? A cowl, maybe?
A cowl would work.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But just, and then we did start a thread in Ravelry just called the KnitChat chat, I guess.
Chat.
And so you could put in there what you're making, and let us know if you have any ideas on something that you think would be an easy project for people to be working on while we're kind of getting together and talking. Mm-hmm. So, let us know. You can put it in that, let us know right here, or you can put it in the KnitChat thread. Vonda thinks it's a good idea. So does Mary. Just something that you're kind of working on that's I don't know, that you can look forward to getting on every Sunday when we all knit together. Mm-hmm. So I know mine might just be like vanilla socks that I don't have to think about. I haven't done a pair of just plain vanilla socks in like forever. Because normally I like to do something with a pattern, but I could probably do like a striped one, right? Because then I don't have to think, and I don't have to worry about counting rows, and I can just match up the stripes. So,
or self-striping yarn. This would be a good opportunity to,
Yeah, then I don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm doing the toe of this sock, and I'm hoping that I get all my decreases in the right place. If not, I can rip it out and do it again. Mary thought vanilla socks was a good idea. So did Joan.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably like a lot of people have that single skein of sock yarn to do something. And if you don't want to do socks, you don't have to do socks. I mean, whatever's easy knitting for you that you don't really have to think a lot about when you're doing it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what would you pick, Kelly?
Socks.
Socks, yeah.
Socks are easy.
Yep.
You could do dishcloths.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Or if you have like a long, it could be something scrappy. A lot of people like to do scrappy projects on Sundays. Mm-hmm. I've got my scrappy blanket out today that I haven't worked on in forever, but I might work on it today when the swatch is done. Mm-hmm.
I have never done, I've done blankets, but I've not ever done a scrappy blanket. I would be too particular about how the colors go together. Although all my colors are pink, they should go together. Okay.
Yours would be pink.
So, Tammy says she's in for socks. Sarah thinks it's a good idea. So it sounds like everybody's like in agreement that it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that some more this week, and then we'll maybe announce it next week on our podcast so that everybody can be ready for the following week with whatever they're going to start.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. That's right, because there'll be no knit chat next Sunday.
No.
We'll be podcasting.
So
we hope we'll be podcasting.
Oh, Wanda says she's sewing in ends on 4 dishcloths right now. I should show the pair of socks that I'm doing. Not these ones, the other ones. Because they do have a lot of ends to sew in, but I'm kind of doing it as I go along. So this is, I've just started. It's a little ankle sock. Mm-hmm. This is by Summer Lee. And I can't remember, it says it's winter something socks. I can't remember, but it's got like, this is again, the Leo and Roxy Basics. So I've got 7 colors plus the classic gray as the main. And this one, because you're changing colors all the time, I actually have, if you look in there, I've actually woven in my ends as I go along because it keeps it neater, and then I don't have to do it all at the end when I'm done.
I'm working on a color work sock as well, and it's similar. I don't have it down here with me, so I can't show it, but you'll see it on the podcast next week. And it's a mosaic sock. And I don't think I've ever used mosaic to do a sock. I've always used it in shawls or hats, but never actually in socks. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really having fun. It's Lisa Ross, Paper Daisy. Yes. Yeah. and it's called Voyage. So it was from her Narnia socks collection, and I'm weaving in as I go too. So what? Just because the yarn is a little thin, and I'm also using the basics sock. So since it's not particularly toothy, like it's a little bit slippery. So I'm weaving in as I go. But then when I go back, I will just zip it through the other way, just as like a little bit of extra security. But I'm using that twisty method. Some people call it the weave and Steven method.
Oh, like, so you put it in as you go along?
Yeah, as I go
Okay,
along.
okay.
So I do that for about 6 stitches, and then you can go back. So when I cut it off, I'm going to have maybe 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch end inside the sock, and I'm going to be okay with that.
So you do go back, like, because I know when I weave in for socks, I always go one way and then back the other way. So you kind of.
That's how I do it too normally.
Yeah.
But in this case, since I'm just twisting it in as I go, like as I add the new yarn, I'm twisting in for 6 stitches.
Right.
And then when I flip the sock in, when I go to cut that off, I will just quickly take that end. I'll have an end about this long, and I will quickly just zip it back the other way, just as a little extra security. But I don't know that I'd really need to. I think it would.
Yeah, but I'd just rather be, because you're right. Like this, when you're working with a superwash yarn and you're doing color work, it is a lot different than if you're working with a toothier yarn, because the toothier yarn kind of will stick to itself.
Yes.
So then you don't have to worry. Whereas the superwash tends to.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried about the superwash coming undone. So.
Elizabeth wants to know if we've seen the new Noro Akari colors.
I don't want to look.
Okay. So we've got some Noro Akari right here.
Do you have enough for 2 more shawls?
Yes. So the 2 colors on the bottom, that's going to be 1 shawl, which is kind of these colors, like the gray and the mauve, and then the 2 on the top is going to be the other shawl.
Okay. Yeah. And those are all different than mine, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll probably, by the time we're all done our shawls, we'll probably have one in every color combination between the 2 of us.
We'll have a wardrobe of the shawls.
Yes. Of Akari night shifts.
Yes. So I haven't seen new colors, Elizabeth, and I don't know if I should go. I'm not going to go look.
Oh, she says she has to finish a 749 stitch I-cord bind off first. 749 stitches. Well, have fun with the I-cord. But I-cords look so nice when they're done, though.
It's such a nice finish.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So Mary says she's 3 rows away from being done with the dark water yoke. I know, but when I'm doing a yoke sweater and I get done the yoke, or I'm doing a bottom up and all the patterns at the bottom, then it tends to be, okay, now I'm at the stocking stitch part. So it's like, what else can I start?
But that's where you have to dig in, get committed.
Yes, I know. And that type of knitting when you get to.
And I can give that advice. That's not what I do.
No, I know. But it's nice when you get to that part in a garment, because then that can be your knitting to take, like for a Zoom call or whatever, because all you're doing is knitting, right?
Right.
So. What did Jacqueline say? What did you notice in the background, Jacqueline?
The Akari.
Oh, okay. I know, because Jacqueline wants to make one of those. So. Oh, there's lots of people knitting sleeves. That's good, because people say, oh, well, I got to do the sleeves. So then it makes them less painful if you're actually doing them and talking and chatting at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I always find, I don't know about you, but I always find the first sleeve the hardest, because there I'm figuring out where I want to put my decreases,
right?
How long I want to make it, how many rows. And then once I'm done that and it's all marked, I find the second sleeve just goes by.
Sometimes I knit the sleeves together. Because then when I'm done, I'm done.
Together. I don't know. Yeah. Jacqueline's jealous of your wall, Kelly. So Tracy says hi. Oh, someone's making the Swallowtail Sweater by Knitosophy. I don't know if I know what that one is.
I don't know that one.
I'm going to have to look that up. And Sarah says she knows what you mean about digging deep, because she's almost done her husband's sweater. Isn't this for the second time?
Yes.
Sarah, that's really digging deep. Rachel's finishing her vanilla sock and her stripes don't match perfectly again. Rachel.
Quit bragging.
With it.
Quit bragging.
Huh? No, she
Quit
said
bragging.
they don't match perfectly.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah, but
Oh.
Rachel would be upset if they were just off by one stitch.
You know what you can do to fix that? I've done that. So sometimes when I use the Knit Picks Felici yarn, they're not dyed to match exactly. So it's not like when you buy from a dyer and they give you two exact
Skeins.
perfect skeins, right? So you know that your stripes are going to match. But sometimes, when you're using commercial yarns, the stripes, they're going to be similar, but they might not be the same. So I've actually done this to a few pairs of socks because I'm a little OCD about the stripes matching too. So you can kind of like double wrap your needle when you're knitting. So instead of just wrapping around one time, so like if you need to catch up or you need to shorten the color change, so that's what I'll do. I'll wrap the yarn twice and I just knit the two as if they're one stitch, right? I knit it together. And that way you use up like twice as much yarn with every wrap, and you can catch up so that your stripes are the same. I've done that
But then won't the sock be a little bit thicker in that spot?
No, not noticeably. And I've done it on a few pairs of socks, and I think all of them Felici. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm liking this.
Oh, you're liking the yarn?
Yeah, I'm okay with this fabric, and I worried because it's 100% wool. And you know me.
Like not superwash wool.
I don't know. It might be. If it's drops, it probably
Does it say superwash?
No.
Does it have the washing instructions that show?
No.
So it's probably not superwash then.
Okay. Well, I worried that I wouldn't be able to actually wear it on my skin, but I'm knitting with it and I don't mind it.
But it's a thick sweater. You're gonna have something on underneath. So.
Yeah. But I'm okay with the fabric. You see that?
Yeah, it looks good. I like the color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you bought yarn this week that's similar, and we didn't even talk about it.
No.
What are you wearing?
I am wearing my Anchor summer shirt by Petite Knit. And it's in Retrosaria Mungo, which is like a wool cotton blend, not superwash. So, and actually, this is the first time I've worn it because I finished it last summer, and it was kind of almost too warm for the summer because it's got like 3/4 length sleeves. Mm-hmm. And then we don't go anywhere, right? So I think like in the house, I've got like sweatshirts and jeans. Yeah. I'm not wearing sweatpants every day. And yeah, so this is the first time I've had it on because it's warmer in the house today. So I feel like I don't necessarily need long sleeves. And I like it. So. Oh, someone's mending socks. Louise, she's just finishing up some mittens and weaving an end. So a lot of people are weaving in ends. That's probably a good idea. It's probably a good thing to do while you're talking and not knitting. So
this is the sweater. I'll hold this up. I hope everybody can see it. Just a minute. That I'm going to knit with this yarn. It's called the oh well, shoot. I don't have the name of it. It might be the Celtic Knot sweater.
I think that might be what you told me, Celtic Knot. That's nice.
It's really pretty. I love, and so it's is that called it's called a contingent saddle sleeve.
Okay.
So the pattern goes right down the arm. I'm looking forward to doing that. And it was too warm in here today. I had the windows open actually to wear a sweater, but I am wearing knitwear. I'm not going to like hold my feet up, but that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my little bunny socks that I made. So that's just a pattern that I drafted the chart. Now, I made them for Easter last year, and then I forgot to wear them for Easter.
So I didn't go anywhere.
So I'm wearing them today just to get warmed up for Easter because they're super cute. They're just so cute. And I did a fancy little cuff on them and everything. And then there was nobody to see them for Easter.
And probably not this Easter either.
No, probably not this Easter.
Like, I don't even know when Easter is this year.
I think it's April the 4th. I asked somebody at work the other day.
Sarah thought that was a great tip with the sock knitting to catch up on your stripes.
It does. It will for sure catch you up.
And Rachel was glad that you're just as OCD as she is for your stripes matching. I mean, I am too, but I'm not. If they're just off by a tiny bit, I'm not. I mean, I try to get them to match, and even if I'm doing a self-patterning yarn, I'll kind of try and pull it off enough that I know that I'm starting at the same spot.
Well, okay. So, I might not be so bad if it were just, the stripe, but just to explain, I can specifically remember the socks that I did that to, and I'll show you why it was important that these ones matched. I've done it a couple of times, but these ones in particular. Come on, Wi-Fi. I made these a long time ago.
Well, I know I like when I'm doing an indie dyer that dyes 2 of the skeins at once, because what I usually do is I'll pull off that final color in each skein and measure it up, and depending where I have to start for the number of stitches that I have to cast on, I'll mark that spot on both balls before I start, so that when I go back to do the second sock, I'm starting at the exact same spot. Right. So I just kind of measure them off, and if one of the stripes is a little bit longer than the other, I just cut them to match, and then I measure exactly where I start. Actually, sometimes even make a slip knot in the second ball, and even if I'm not starting it, and just set it aside so it's all ready to go when I come back to start the next sock.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I use that first stripe as my cast on. I like to have just like a tiny contrast.
No, but don't you just measure it to make sure it's the same length?
Oh, yes.
On each sock, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So these are the socks that I made where I know that I wrapped yarn to get them exactly the same. Because what I did on every stripe, I made a different texture, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
I did all kinds of just wonky stitch patterns on each stripe, and I really wanted them to match. So I don't know if that's OCD. That was just taking care to have the socks the way I envisioned.
No, I like my sock. I like my socks to match too, but sometimes it doesn't seem to matter what you do. You end up, you get down to the toe, and you've got a few that are going to be into the next color or something. But anyway,
Linda's spinning.
Oh wow, my spinning wheel's right here. But I'm pretty sure I can't spin and talk at the same time.
You could spin a little, knit a little.
I'm not experienced enough to. I still have to look at it like this, but I'm spinning.
Louise says it's good to have company to do the ends with. That's a good point.
Yes.
It's a good point, Louise.
That's why I do actually like doing it as I go along, so that there's, especially if it's something with a lot of ends, so that it's not a whole lot that I have to do at the end.
Right. So something else that I was doing today, I think I mentioned this. Okay, if going back to the podcast where we found the Barbie clothes.
Yes.
So I mentioned that I also had found this big box of patterns. So I just thought, I was going through all of these books, and I thought I'm just going to show a couple. I think we were talking about this sweater, weren't we, Noelle? The dinosaur sweater?
No, because I was talking about, it was one that was just in kid sizes.
Okay, well, I'm going to show you my first, I don't know where this sweater is. I know I got rid of it, but the first sweater that I ever did in Intarsia color work, and I wore the heck out of this sweater, and the goose. I made a goose to wear on my body, and I wore the heck out of it.
No, but that was the style. That was the style.
And we were also talking last week about how every sweater we ever did, they were all like, look at this jewel. I didn't make this one, but they were all pieces together. Of sweaters with the set-in sleeves, right? Every single sweater. Like, who would wear a chicken and a cow? This stuff is so funny. Or you could make one for your boyfriend. Who would wear your boyfriend?
Yeah, right. That's where the boyfriend curse started. If you were making that for him.
So that was sweater one.
Well, Sarah thinks her mom has that book. I know that I've got some books. I don't know if I have that exact one. Marianne made something for that book. Everybody has that book, Ellie.
I know. Okay. So then I went on and I made sweater number 2. This sweater I still have. I I probably would still wear this sweater. And I have to say, I made it in Peyton's Canadiana. Thing looks as good today as it did when I knit it. That one, the red one.
Oh, okay.
I like that sweater. I'd still wear that sweater probably. It's
So
got
do
the
you
drop
still have
sleeves.
it?
Yes,
You still have it?
I still have it.
So
I think
next podcast, you have to wear that sweater.
I do. I definitely have it. And coincidentally enough, this here, this Grecian key formula pattern, that's exactly what I'm doing in my mosaic socks right now.
Wow. But that's not mosaic, right? Or
That's
was it?
not mosaic.
Right.
But I remember, even remember wearing that sweater when I was pregnant because it's a real boxy style. That was a boxy sweater before boxies were cool, I bet. Right?
Actually, a lot of the stuff that we knit back then was boxy.
What? Well, it was the only shape we
sweaters
had.
were boxy. So mine one with the geese had like a row of geese going around here, but then it had the row of houses going around here. And then, I don't know, something else. Remember this? It was like a sampler style.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember doing those even as gifts, and people actually liked them.
So am I going to part with those books? No, I'm not.
No. I actually, when you said that, I actually have to go down because I should make like the kids ones especially like are still cute, and I would just adapt them somehow. So I would be doing in the round as opposed to all piecing them all together. But
Okay, so lots of people have these patterns. Maureen probably still has both of the dinosaur patterns. She forgot about them. There's a reason for that, Maureen. We forget about things when they go away. Phyllis has made one with a polar bear on skis.
oh wow.
Oh,
There you go. Sarah says you need to put on your red sweater and go down to the river and take a picture.
okay. Maybe I'll do that. You know what? Okay.
Oh, Tracy said that the people just said they liked the sweaters. Maybe they didn't. But Tracy, I saw them wearing them, and I might have told them I was coming over.
Does anybody else, okay, let's just open this out, because if some of you have made these sweaters, does anybody else that's listening right now still have the sweaters? Other than me having the red one.
I have
don't
some
a goose.
sweaters, but not like I have ones that I made like 30 years ago, but not the ones with all the pictures on it. But yours didn't have pictures on it. It had
I had the goose. I had the goose.
But do you still have it?
No, I don't have.
That's what I mean.
Sweater.
I have an Aran sweater that I made ages and ages ago, but I don't have the ones I made with the pictures on them. I think I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to wear these again.
If we don't have the sweaters, Sarah says her mom might have a few kicking around. Okay.
Wow.
Yes, here's a challenge. Let's put this up for a challenge in the KnitChat thread on Ravelry. If anybody still has these sweaters that they made like way back, put your sweater on, get a picture of yourself, and post this in the KnitChat Ravelry group. I will take a picture in my red sweater, no problem, because actually I don't mind that sweater. Or if you don't have the sweater, if you can find a picture of yourself wearing the sweater when you made it, way back when, can you please post that picture?
I could wear my Aran sweater. The only thing about it was like, remember when the sweaters used to be, the sleeves used to be like this wide?
I know. They were huge,
I still
right?
have that, but I feel like I put my arms out in the sleeve. Well, it would hide the flap, right?
You could carry a kid in that sleeve.
Okay. Rachel says that Molly still wears a sweater that her grandma knit her when she was 4. And I've seen it. It's such a cute sweater. And like for the kids will still wear picture sweaters.
Yeah, okay. But
Like
it's
I
cute
remember
on a
doing
kid.
one
It's cute.
for my daughter Jacqueline that had Mickey Mouse on the front.
Yeah, but Noelle, it's cute on a kid. Why did we think as adults it was cute to wear a goose or a chicken on our chest?
It was the style at the time, Kelly.
Do we call that style? I'm not sure. I'm truly not sure that could be called style. What statement was I trying to make? That's what I want to know. If my daughter is watching this, if she has this on for the dogs right now, I know she'll be howling with laughter because she remembers the goose sweater. I also made she had a kitty cat sweater, so it was just the eyes and the whiskers.
Mm-hmm.
That was another
I remember
one
that one. That was on the front of a book.
I have the book upstairs.
That was
I
on the
went through
front
all of those books
yeah.
today. I could have brought down some real gems, but I only brought down those goodies. We'll save that for another one.
Okay.
Maybe I could find pictures of her in her cute sweaters, but they were cute on kids, just not on
Yes.
us.
Well, we thought they were at the time.
I just don't know. I might have a picture of me wearing the goose sweater. Okay, I might have to look.
I know I made a lot of those, and I hated doing intarsia, and I still made them.
In that book, this is how bad the. Where's the goose? Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. No, hang on a minute.
Tracy says all these sweaters went to the Sally Ann. They're probably still there, Tracy.
You can actually even see, like I would do, this was prior to Knit Companion, that I would like pencil out the lines as I was completing those rows. So I knew where I was in the goose.
Kelly, that might be a copyright infringement. Somebody might want that chart.
If somebody wants this pattern, let me know. I would happily gift it to them. She's wearing a leather skirt with her dinosaur sweater.
If we had thought about this before, we could have been wearing our vintage sweaters.
It would be great to go to, like, you could do an ugly Christmas party with those sweaters.
I know. Well, I was wanted Ross to go. We had some stuff in our basement, and I thought that I had kept a lot of the sweaters that I did for the kids, but I cannot find any of them. But I know at the time I probably said, I probably just said, oh, don't worry, when we have grandchildren, I'll knit them more. But it would be so fun to go back and look at what those styles are and what the, anyway.
I have the kids' baby sets that.
I have a couple of things, but not all of them. Like Curtis had the cutest little sweater for Christmas that had little Scotty dogs going across the bottom with little green bows. And it was a red sweater and it had all the white dotting for snowflakes. And it was so cute. And I think every one of my 4 sons wore that sweater. It was a Mary Maxim pattern.
So Mary Ann says this is like an episode of the Goldbergs. Do you watch that show? No.
What's it? Okay, tell me. Explain.
Well, it's just a family, but I don't know if it's actually set in the 80s or not, but it's typical. Like
so they wore those sweaters?
They might have wore those sweaters, yeah.
Well, I am going to go down and I'm going to find the kids' ones because I want to make, Rachel's already on there, but my granddaughter's 2nd birthday is April 7th, and her dad, my son, I made him the dinosaur sweater that was in the one book, but it was the kids' one, and it had like a stegosaurus on it, and the little steg things were. And Curtis wanted that sweater so bad, he kept handing it to me. Like he was probably about 3 or 4 when I was knitting it. He kept handing it to me and going, knit. And we don't have it anymore, but I thought Isla is in love with dinosaurs, so I might have to look out that pattern and do one of those for her.
Well, I have so many of those pattern books that I was going through today, and honestly, I made a lot of them. I really did. I made so many of them for the kids.
There was a lot of cute kids ones.
Really good kids patterns. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not getting rid of those. I would do those again, maybe.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking if Canada's still on lockdown. Unfortunately,
some
parts of it are. We're currently in a red zone, but I feel like we might be going to a gray zone soon.
And different. I mean, only like Jacqueline's only 60 miles from here in London, and they're in Orange, so they're doing better than us. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Rachel wanted me to tell you that my granddaughter Isla, who I want to knit this sweater for, her birthday is also the same day as my son's birthday, who I knit the sweater for originally. So meant to be.
Yep. Well, Kendall and I share a birthday too.
Wow. So you should knit her a goose sweater.
I don't know if she'd see the humor in it. And I don't think I could handle doing that in Tarja again. I found a few other sweater patterns up there that I've made for myself too.
BC is still in lockdown, Mary said.
Yes.
I'm hoping by the time we get to spring and the weather gets a little warmer that we move out of, I don't know, at least being able to get out a bit. But anyway. So, okay, now I can't wait to go and look for that pattern and start that sweater. I might have to buy yarn.
Marianne is talking about in the 80s. The Goldbergs are in the 80s. And
Oh, okay.
the memory of all the knit sweaters. Oh, and all of the knit sweaters that were embellished with rhinestones. Do you remember those? I do.
Do you? Like, but not hand knit sweaters.
Well, some. And you know what, too? I don't know. Does anybody else watch This Is Us? I watch it when the season is over so I can watch it all together. But one day, the main character, Rebecca, came into the room and she was wearing a sweater that was made up. It was like this blanket, the Cozy Memories blanket. Well, I guess it went kind of this way, though. Anyway, her sweater was a Cozy Memory sweater. It's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, the sweater was like that. I do remember that. Like that was kind of like that modular knitting.
Yes.
Where you kind of did a part and then you pick up the stitches and move on to the next block and
yep.
Yeah. Marion says hi from Belgium. She's working on a night shift. She's using Nora with the Rowan felted tweed. I just got my first Rowan felted tweed. Kelly and I, independent of each other, this week bought yarn for sweaters, and you should hold your ball up, Kelly. We kind of picked very similar colors without even knowing. So,
what sweater are you making, Noelle?
I think I'm going to do the Winter's Beach, the one that I did for the sample. But
the cardigan.
I thought if I did that one, that color for me, it would be really nice to wear with jeans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So. Oh yeah, Kathy says don't forget the shoulder pads.
Oh my gosh, that's an entirely different conversation, Kathy. I'm pretty sure because okay, I sew, right? And I used to sew a lot of clothes. And when I was cleaning out boxes and moving into this room as a sew studio, I was going through boxes and I found the sew-in shoulder pads of varying thicknesses. It's crazy.
What they look like curtain rods. Like they look like curtain rods.
Why did we want our shoulders to be bigger anyway? I guess it made our hips look smaller, right?
That's right.
Shoulders are big, then your hips look small.
I already want my hips to be bigger. They didn't do me any justice at all. And Linda says the hairstyles in the Goldbergs are even funnier than the sweaters.
All right, don't get me started on hairstyles.
I will admit that at one time I actually did have a mullet. But it was when mullets were cool.
No, mullets were never cool.
Well, neither were the geese sweaters, Kelly, but we were.
I kind of had a mullet too.
With our goose
My
sweater.
hair was really, really high, and I thought it would be cool. I actually shaved the sides of my hair too, and then I had like these little stair-step lines in there, and my hair was black, which was a mistake because that color never came out. I had to have the hair cut, and it was, I don't know. I think I thought I was Madonna. That was in the 80s.
I don't know. It would have been in the 80s, and my sister had like the huge hair, like all that. And one of my kids are like, Aunt Mary scares me. She has big hair.
Well, when I look at pictures, I don't know how I got my hair that big. Oh, Tracy's looking for a picture. I don't know, Tracy. I actually posted one on Instagram. There was a flashback, and I posted a picture, and it was some large hair. I had a picture too. I think it was a New Year's Eve party that I went to, and the my date for the evening was like 6'4". Okay, and between my hair and the heels I was wearing, we were the same height. He was 6'4".
Did he have a mullet?
He might have. I don't know. Okay, we've lost our knitting thread completely.
Okay, we are really a knitting podcast.
I don't know how this happened.
Somehow we get sidetracked sometimes. Oh, Kathy says she was a hairdresser and she cut many mullets back then.
Oh, goodness. It's probably
Nancy. Hairspray.
Good point, Nancy. That's probably the entire fault of the ozone layer, the 80s. Exactly.
The hairspray for the big hair.
Hairspray. Oh, goodness. Right. How big do I need to make a swatch?
Oh, Aquanet all the way. I know it was like rock hard.
No, I was the Aussie scrunch. I could have been the poster girl for every
No, I wanted
every
mine not
Aussie
to move.
product. That stuff was like shellacked glue. It was the freeze spray, and then I had, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, and now we've survived almost a whole year without a hairdresser.
I know. I haven't had a haircut. Well, I finally cut it you can tell. I don't know what this piece is. I cut my own hair last week. I probably shouldn't have done that. It was way too long. I cut about 4 inches off.
Oh,
I haven't
did
had
you?
a hair color in
Well,
over a
if I
year.
look back at pictures from like last March, like literally my hair was like here, like at my chin.
I know.
Like,
I know.
And
I
my
saw
whole
pictures.
undercut has grown out and it's hot. But I just keep cutting my bangs. Sometimes 2 or 3 days in a row if it doesn't look right.
I know. I kept scissors in the bathroom and I kept, oh, that piece is too long. I was going to cut that off, but I think I
Yeah.
have to go back. I think there's another piece. Anyway.
I know, but think we could use all that money on yarn. I think I have.
Okay, you know you've been locked up too long when you're looking at your hair thinking, could I weave with that? And then the other day I was brushing
You
the
do a
cats.
blend.
So I was using that Furminator on the cats, and I was pulling out huge bundles of their undercoat, and I thought, what could I do with this? I put it in the garbage. I did, but
Well, you
it
can
felt so
weave,
soft. It was
not
so
weave.
soft.
Spin. You can spin with different
Some
animal fur.
people, yeah, right?
Yeah.
There's dog yarn.
Yeah,
I think some
Samoyed.
people have done that with cats. I don't know. Anyway, how big of a swatch do I have to make? Is that big enough?
According to me, that's way big
Louise,
enough.
are you still here? Louise, is this
Or
a big enough
Tracy. Or
swatch?
Tracy.
Or Tracy. Is she a big swatcher?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like this is big enough.
That's why our sweaters always fit the first time.
Block it till it fits. I don't know.
Or find someone that it fits.
Linda says I can spin with that. What, my hair or the cat's
So
hair?
Linda said you can definitely spin with that. I think she means your cat hair.
Okay.
Louise says that's probably a good size for your swatch, Kelly.
Okay.
Oh, Tracy only makes little swatches.
feel
I
like
asked
it's gonna be a
Tracy
really
to do my
quick
swatches
sweater.
for me because
That'll
we
be a
knit
quick
fairly
sweater.
similarly.
Okay. We're done with the swatching. I have a shawl to block out.
Sarah wants to know if we know any Poppy's Pom Pom. Oh, Poppy's Pom Pom is yarn made with dog hair. The Samoyed, yeah. I got my Samoyed from Belfast Mini Mills. And it is nice. I mean, it's gorgeous yarn. Very warm.
All right.
So did you measure it?
Well,
Or
not
are you
yet.
just going to switch? Or are you going to wash it? Are you
That's
going
what
to
I
wash
said. I
it?
have a shawl that has to be blocked and a couple of other smaller projects. So I'll block that too. See where it leads me. I don't know. I don't swatch often, but it's
Sandy wanted to know, is your pattern in the round?
no,
Okay, so you've got to sew it up?
no.
Or were you,
I
Right.
think you knit the top to all the way down to the sleeves with on a circular needle. I think I'm pretty
Like the
sure that's
yoke?
what I read in the pattern. Yeah, and then split for the sleeves. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking,
have you ever done an in the round swatch?
yes.
Have you? I haven't. Well, I've not done very many swatches, period, but I definitely have not done an in the round swatch. Yeah, because Louise wants to know if your pattern's flat or in the round. Because you just did your swatch back and forth, right?
It didn't say to swatch in the round, so good question, Louise. Way to deflate me after I've actually swatched too. And I have swatched in the round. I just wasn't thinking I needed to this time. So maybe I don't know.
Well, you said it was a contiguous sleeve, but do you do it all at the same time? Mary wants to know if in the round swatching helps. I think some people knit differently when they purl, their tension changes. So if you're going to knit a sweater in the round and you do a back and forth swatch, it's not going to give you an accurate representation, because when you're doing in the round, you're just continually knitting. So I guess it depends on how you knit. I mean, I know, like, if you look at what the pros say, if you're doing a sweater in the round, your swatch should be in the round. If you're doing a sweater flat, your swatch should be flat, which makes sense because you're supposed to mimic whatever conditions, needles, whatever techniques you're using in the sweater should be what you use in your swatch.
The sweaters work top down, seamless in the round. So, okay, Louise, you're right. I should have swatched in the round. But okay, here's my theory on this. It's such a big bulky yarn. I don't really think that there's going to be a big difference between my in the round and flat.
Well, it's not, and it's not a really closely fitted sweater, right?
No. I more than anything just really wanted to see if I liked the fabric. Sometimes I think the needle size is 6.5.
Right.
That's a pretty big needle. And sometimes I've had a few other things that call for a 6.5 needle, and I've just thought that the fabric was a little loose. But
right.
I'm happy with that fabric. It's pretty dense. Someone is wanting to know what a good first time sweater. I usually recommend the flax. The flax is a great pattern, and it's all sizes. It can be, I think it's from a size 2 all the way up to any adult size that you can knit. And I think it's a good teaching pattern too.
I think it's got a lot of good information in it. Mm-hmm. And they've actually just introduced a new section to it that actually shows you how to do short rows if you want your back to come up a little higher than your front. So yeah, I would say it's a good first sweater. Plus it's either a worsted or an Aran weight. There is also the flax light, but yes. For a first sweater, you might want to do a heavier weight just so that just so it doesn't take so long to get it finished. Mm-hmm. So, Mary says but Mary, does it fit? Did it turn out after?
I always try the yoke on before I go any further. And sometimes I even block the yoke. The last sweater that I finished, the Mizarina, mm-hmm. Because I didn't swatch for the sweater, but when I was doing the yoke, I was getting the gauge for stitch count, but I wasn't getting the gauge for row count. I was a little bit short. So I felt that the yoke, it might like kind of bind up in the arm if I went just by the number of rows that the pattern said. So I actually did add a few rows of knitting into that just to allow for that. But I blocked it before I carried on with the body just to make sure.
Well, when I a lot of the times don't swatch after I get so much done. If I've got like a stocking stitch portion, I will kind of measure it to get an idea. I'm more concerned that the stitch count is good because yes. The row count's a lot easier to adjust for. And in the one that I've just started last week, I did have to adjust because I was getting the length in fewer rows than what the pattern called for. So I had to adjust because where you divided for the arms and your increases from the neck down to your arm, mm-hmm. I had to do the increases like a little closer together, right? Because I wasn't going to knit as many rows to get the length. So I mean, I don't a lot of times do a swatch, but I do, once I've started it, try to figure out where I am before I get too far into the sweater.
Right.
So. And again, I might, like in your case where you've got a yarn that's totally different that you've never worked with before, so you don't have a really good idea of what your tension's going to be like with it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of yarns, if you've worked with them before, at least like I find I usually have a pretty good idea of where I'm going to end up gauge wise, or what needles I like the fabric on, or
Right, right.
so.
Hi,
Oh, Mary
Jess.
says
Jess
she's
is
not
just
sure.
joining.
She's going to check it after knit chat.
Okay. Sandy has a good point too. She says when I so the swatch that I should have swatched in the round, she said once I block that out after after I block it and check it, once I start the project, she said just check my knitting gauge then at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
Well, and I mean, I think that a lot of things say even if you do a swatch, that you should still be checking your gauge in the project as you go through, just to make
Right.
sure that you're still knitting consistently with what you got in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, and obviously your gauge is a lot more important in something like a sweater than if you're doing a shawl,
Yes.
right? And I mean, it is
Yes.
important in socks too, because you obviously want them to fit. But
I've never swatched for socks.
no, I've never swatched for socks either.
Not
But I
ever.
know, but you've done enough socks, and same with me, that you pretty much know. I know the stitch count that I need to use, whether I'm doing it for, um, like one of my sons or son-in-laws, or if I'm doing it for one of the girls. Like I have a pretty good idea of the stitch count. So, and then I'll adjust accordingly. If the yarn's a little thinner, I end up doing more rows than I would if the yarn was a little thicker.
Now, having said that, I've ended up with some socks that just don't fit. But
Well,
I know enough
yeah.
people with different size feet.
Well, and that's right. So do I.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So Mary, you'll have to let us know if your sweater's working out. I know there's a picture you put in the knit chat and it looks gorgeous, but you'll have to let us know. Hopefully the yoke will be fine. But it will make a difference with your yoke and the color work too if you block it out.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll be able to finish it, Mary, in time for, what is it, March 22nd is our cutoff time for the
self-care.
self-care? Mm-hmm. What are everyone's favorite types of needles? I'm for socks. Let's start for socks. I watched a podcast last week and it was MC Knitting Adventures. I like to watch them. And she actually did a review of a whole slew of needle types. And I use often for socks, I have my Chow Goose. I also have Nova Platinas. I have Licka Woods. The Chow Goose, as much as I like them, I've punctured my finger more times than I can count. I push, and I don't know if other people have that issue because I knit socks in usually a 2.25.
You knit fairly tightly.
I don't feel like I do, but I just know that a puncture takes a while to heal from, and especially in the winter.
Yep. I have various different sock needles. I do like my Chai-Goos. I don't know if I don't push on the needle tip, maybe, I don't know, but I find that usually they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my favorite would be to do two circulars, like two 16-inch circulars. But I don't mind doing magic loop. And I'm getting more and more to like the 9-inch circulars. I like the 9-inch circular, like that's what I use, like this one here for color work. But I'm finding that even because this is like a color work row, a plain row, a color work row, a plain row. I'm finding I'm getting better at the plain rows, but I find that when I do that with a 9-inch cert, I actually switch to continental and find it faster than doing the throwing. So, but yeah, I do like, the only thing I probably don't knit socks on anymore are double pointed.
Right.
And that's when I started doing socks. That's all there was.
Yep.
Right. But so Mary likes double pointed Chai-Goos. Oh, lots of people like Chai-Goos. Addie, Phyllis says 9-inch Addie.
Oh, Collins Knits can't stay. She's going to watch us later. She's saying hello from PEI.
Okay, hi.
Hi. Hiya for knitting socks. Chow Goo, lots of Chow Goo. Somebody on one of her reviews, because there's two types of Haya that I wasn't aware of. So there's the Haya Sharp, and then there's the Haya Steel. And she had mentioned that because I find like the Nova Platinas are a little duller, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't usually get a puncture from them, but I love that cable on those red lace, right? Like you can't beat that cable.
Yep.
So she talks about the Haya Steels not being as sharp, and I wondered
Okay.
about that.
Now, Klaska says she does the Chigu red lace, but 2 at a time magic loop. I have never done 2 at a time on the same needle. I think I wouldn't like it. I think I would have my yarns all twisted and
No, I used to do that all the time.
really,
I
I
don't
just
know,
don't.
like
I think I
I go
would get.
through stages, right? I just go through stages where I like a certain way, and then I'm like, oh, I like to try something different. Or I'll see somebody else doing something different. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done that in a while. And then I'll go on that kick. Like it's going from same as, doing like top down socks. And then sometimes I do toe up socks for a while. And then
Right.
sometimes I do 2 at a time. I used to do 2 at a time all the time.
Well, I have not ever tried that. If I did 2 at a time, I think it would be 2 separate sets of needles, and I would keep the socks separate so that I wouldn't be twisting the yarn all the time. So that wouldn't really, that would be consecutive as opposed to whatever you call them if you do them 2 at a time at the same time.
Okay, someone has just mentioned that they have the Haya steel. Do you have both? Do you have the steels and the sharps? And do you notice a significant difference? Because I think I'm going to order some 9-inch. Like I'm concerned about the 9-inch because my 9-inches are all Chow Goose, and I was knitting on them last week, and I could feel that skin getting thin again. And I thought I'm going to poke through my finger, and I'm wondering.
I have the Haya sharps, and they're sharp.
They are sharp.
Yes, they are.
And I don't want to draw blood when I knit.
No.
So.
Oh, Linda said she put a leather thimble on her finger. So when you're pushing it through, then you've got something that is not going to go into your finger. It'll go into the thimble instead. That's a good idea, actually.
I just don't know if I could
knit with it on.
Somebody mentioned, I saw a knitter one time, and they were talking, I don't know where they got them. I missed the name. I can't go back. I can't even remember who it was, but they had like these little sticky pads that they could just stick on their finger right at the push point, and they were using those with good success. So Tracy has the Haya steels in the 9-inch, and she says they're definitely noticeably not as sharp. Okay. All right. I'm in. I'm going to get some this week then.
Oh, Elizabeth says she despises 2 at a time. Concurrently and separate needles. That's how I would do them if I was going to do 2 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 16-inch circulars. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now is the 2 16-inch, and it's my favorite. I was actually, because I don't usually knit a bunch of pairs of socks at the same time, but for some reason, this past week I cast on 4 pairs of socks. So one's on a circular, one's on a magic loop, and 2 are on 2 16s. But when I switch back and forth from the magic loop to the 16s and the 16s, I'm like using the wrong end of the needle.
Bye, Louise.
Happy says Knit Pro Zings are good.
Sarah says I could use a moleskin. I have some of that. I wonder if that would work. I could cut that. You can cut it yourself, right?
Well, I know I have occasionally punctured, not very often, but I just put one of those little bandages that are like the clear ones, but they've got a little tiny bit of padding, and I found I'd hardly feel that on my finger, and it made it so that I could still knit. Louise says she have to go. Bye, Louise. Yeah, I like the thing with a lot of people say that they do their socks 2 at a time because of second sock syndrome. Like I usually don't have a problem getting the second sock on the needle and getting it finished. So I don't know.
But after you finish that first sock, the excitement's gone for the sock then.
Really?
So that's why I used to do them together.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, come on, I did 15 pairs of work socks. If I could get through that, that's 30 socks. all basically almost the same, all one at a time. So doing a few different pairs and they're all different patterns, doing the second sock doesn't seem that bad.
No.
What about sleeves? Does everybody do their sleeves? Do you do your sleeves two at a time?
No, but I do use 12-inch circulars for those, just to make that process go a little quicker.
Well, I did get a set so that I can do that, because I find if the sleeves got color work in it, I'm going to do that. But I do think the cords that came with the set do go long enough so you could do a sleeve the whole way up on the smaller circumference circular. And do you like still throw, or do you do continental when you're doing the sleeve?
I still throw.
Okay.
I only do continental when I'm doing color work.
Like
That's
in the
something
other.
else. Yes, that's using two hands, right? That's
Right.
something else. Why don't I learn to do that? Why don't I just put in the time? 15 minutes a day apparently is what you need just to get comfortable with it. Why don't I do that? I
Well,
can't
I'm
seem to
finding
get the same
I'm actually
tension
really,
on my left hand as I
I'm
can
really
on my
starting
right
to
hand.
like it with the 9-inch. And if I was going to do all my whole sock on 9-inch, it would be continental.
Okay.
So.
Welcome, Kathy. She says she's enjoying watching and she's finally learned how to join in. There you go.
Yay, yay.
There you go. Welcome.
Yeah, lots of people do their sleeves two at a time.
Circulars for sleeves. Mary's asking, I usually use a 12-inch circular for the sleeves.
I have the little Chigu set that comes in the little red pouch. Mm-hmm. And it's got cord. Well, you can buy any length of cord for it, right? But you can make as small as a 9-inch, so you can adjust it to wherever you are on your sleeve for the right circumference just by changing the cord. Mm-hmm. So if you need it a little bigger as you go up, you can change it to a little bit bigger.
Sarah uses the Chigu shorties.
The Chigu shorties. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I know I'm thinking about getting the next set, the blue set too. The red set only goes up to 3.25 millimeter. And then I think the blue size goes from 3.5 up to like 5. So, and then you can use your other Chigu cords with it. Mm-hmm. So I actually got a couple of the little adapters so that, because the really mini cord is really nice and flexible and thin, but right. You can put those on your regular Chigus if you just use the little adapter piece.
Yes.
So that's kind of nice too.
I was actually thinking about getting a set. I don't have sets of needles. I have a wall full of needles, but I actually don't have a set. But since I've been using the 9 inches more, I thought about getting the red Chigu set. But then I watched the podcast about the Haya steels, and then I wondered if maybe I should go that route. So I'm going to get a 9-inch circular in the Haya steel first.
And try it out.
Tracy says you need the blue set. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, Tracy, I'll tell Ross that.
No problem. So Kathy is working on switching to continental. She says Arnett and Carlos did a video on Norwegian knit and purl. Okay. I just need to do this. I need to commit. I need to take the time and not be impatient with myself.
Well, that's maybe my next vanilla sock. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do for what I'm going to do when we're doing the knit chat. I'm going to do a vanilla sock on a small circular continental.
My stress is always that when I'm knitting continental, I'll say, that's it. I'm going to do this continental. I'm persevering. But then as I'm knitting, I'm thinking, I could be doing this so much quicker the other way. And then I just get frustrated with myself and go back to...
Okay, you have to commit to a pair of socks.
Maybe that's how I'll learn.
Yeah. So like I said, if we do that when we're on knit chat, then you know the time that you're going to have to do it.
I don't know if I can do it on knit chat because I can knit and not look. But if I'm doing continental, I don't know.
Okay, well, practice not on knit chat.
Okay. And then blow you away with my ability. Oh, hello, Molly. Hello, Puss.
So Sarah's got the blue set, and yes, it does go from 3.5 to 5. Yeah, and those come with like the 2-inch and the 3-inch tips.
Right.
So I really like the red set, so I'm sure I'd like the blue set. But anyways, I know I did. Do you remember years and years ago, not as many years ago as the goose sweater, but years and years ago, that log cabin blanket that people did in like the Noro, and like each square was a different thing, and then you combined the whole thing with like a black border or well, whatever color border you want. It was called the log cabin Afghan, and that it was all garter stitch. I did most of that using Continental, and then once I was done that, I just switched back and never did it again. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was all knit, right? So it was just so much easier and faster. So okay, I'm gonna do that. For the next knit chat, I'm gonna cast on a vanilla sock. I don't know if I can do the rib on a 9-inch. Does anybody do the rib on a 9-inch?
I do.
Do you? How was it?
I didn't notice a difference.
That's what I got to look up, is doing the purl in Continental.
The thing that I find about the 9-inch is that if there's less than 60, so I often do a 60 stitch sock for myself. If there's less than 64 on the 9-inch, I find it's just fighting with it too much, and that's what fatigues my hands, not the size of the needles. It's like fighting with it because it's a smaller circumference. So if I'm doing a 64 or maybe a 68 for somebody else on the 9-inch circular, that's golden. Or if you're doing color work, because that's a thicker sock, also golden. But just doing a straight sock, I have a hard time.
Okay, Kathy says I need to try the Norwegian purl. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Louise was teaching that.
Yes.
Up at the retreat, she was teaching somebody. Okay, here's someone that's taught. Klaska has taught herself to knit Continental 2 years ago, and she loves it.
Okay.
It is
nice
nice
to be able to do both, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Vonda's
it does look like the purl's a little bit more time consuming. Oh, see, someone knit, like, and that's what I thought. Like, if you actually do both and switch them around, wouldn't that be better for like your wrists and your hands all together, because you'd be using different moments and it's not so much repetitive strain doing it one way all the time?
It's a good point.
Yeah, I think that
it's valid.
Good reason to learn, just in case you can't do the other way.
That's right.
So it does look like I'm going to have to look at the Norwegian purl. Would say Arne and Carlos have an amazing purl. He says cha 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 as he does it. Okay.
Knitting homework.
That's right. Knitting homework.
What else do we have? Elizabeth says she's left-handed.
Okay.
But she knits right-handed, as do I, Elizabeth. I'm left-handed as well. So I crochet left-handed. I knit right-handed. And she thought that she would take easily to Continental. No, she's a flicker and always will be. Continental purling has totally eluded her. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, Elizabeth, do you bowl? And do you bowl with your left hand or your right hand? I bowl with my right hand. I do most things with my right hand. Even though I'm left-handed, I can really only write with my left hand. And I can write pretty well with my right hand too, actually. But I do most things with my right hand. So I always find that strange. But that's because I think there's nothing set up in the world for left-handed people. Right? Not even books.
Right. Well, that'll be our homework before the next time, is like do some research on Continental knits and purls and
see what we can come up with.
Yep.
If you can knit, what do? You knit backwards?
Yes.
Okay, if you can knit backwards, I'm pretty confident you can knit Continental.
Okay, when Kelly's talking about the knitting backwards, I like knitting bobbles, but I hate when you have to turn the work all the time, when it's like knit across, turn, knit across, turn. So I just looked up knitting backwards one time, and it takes, it's like anything, right? It takes a little bit to get used to it. So now when I do my heel flap, I do it all by knitting backwards. I never turn the work.
Right.
Like when I do the heel flap and gusset, and it's faster. It's just another technique, right? Anything the first time you learn it feels a little bit awkward till you kind of get used to it. So yeah, so
well, that's what I think. It's that practice, like to become proficient.
Yep.
And I don't know. I just feel like I don't have enough knitting time. So I have never been able to convince myself to put the time in to be proficient with Continental. That's a poor attitude on my part. I understand that. So Danielle is new here. Welcome, Danielle. She picks and throws. When one hand gets tired or sore, she switches.
Okay.
Okay. And Elizabeth, no to bowling.
No to bowling.
But she says she crochets poorly with her right hand, but she plays golf right-handed. Yeah. I think left-handed people do a lot of things in general with our right hands. I think we've had to adapt because things just aren't set up for left-handed people. Again, that's just my theory.
Yeah. Okay. I did something wrong on that sock. 2 of my socks are sitting in the fixed pile. Apparently I need to concentrate. I need to work on knitting and talking at the same time.
There you go.
I'm not even going to try this one. There you go. My continental vanilla sock will be perfect for doing this. So.
Okay. And Kathy learned Continental while doing color work. Yes.
Yes.
That's
yep.
Same here, Kathy.
Yep.
Yeah. But she's predominantly a Continental knitter.
Okay.
Unless she's doing a pattern with yarn overs. She said she can't do yarn overs Continental.
I know, that was it's like when you get into and that was even when you get into the knitting backwards, a little bit more tricky when you're like knitting 2 together but it's doable.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be the whole thing. Like when you're doing Continental, it would be relearning like how you do every stitch, like you're knit 2 together.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Homework.
Okay. Well, we're at an hour and 12 minutes. So I think it's probably about time to wrap it up, as they say.
So let us know in the KnitChat thread in Ravelry what you'd like to, or even under this video, like what you'd like to, if you're interested in doing the KnitChat knit along and what you want to do with it and what you want to knit. And we'll look at those and talk about it on the podcast next week, and then we'll start it the following week. So what date will that be? What's the date today? The 7th?
Today's the 7th.
So 21st.
21st is when we'll be back, yes.
Yeah.
So. Which is almost, it's being very close to being the first day of spring. Because I think it's March 22nd is the first day of spring. So maybe then we can get out with our knitting. So if you were here for the first time. Learn how to knit
backwards now. You should. Knitting backwards is fun.
I will. Another thing. More homework. But so if you can find us on Ravelry and Instagram, I'm The Tangled Stitch. And Noelle, you are?
In Ravelry, I'm nsknitsandpieces, and on Instagram, I'm Noelle's Knits and Pieces. Actually, once this video goes up, I can link all that under the video, but I won't be able to do it probably till later today, till the video's rendered. So
thank you so much if you've joined us for the first time. Thank you. And if you've returned for some of our foolishness, hope today was not too foolish. I'm sorry.
We're going to be wearing our retro sweaters next time.
Diversion down memory lane, but sometimes I just get off on a tangent. So hopefully we stay on track next time. But it's been lovely to spend some time with you. Thank you. And
thanks everybody.
I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Sunday.
Yeah, and I hope you're having as nice weather where you are as we're having here. So take care, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Happy making. Bye.